Hey everybody, it's Joric. Welcome back. It's been a long time since I made a video. It's been a couple of months. We moved back from 5 years in Portugal at the end of August. Had a lot going on trying to get a job, get a house secured, renovations. We're finally in our place. And a question I had for you is with the recent election, the other reason I didn't want to make a video is because every ad seemed to be an election ad, especially if you're in the US watching, is with the election results, are you looking to move in 2025 out of the United States? And it's just a general question that I pose to you. I'd love to hear in the comments to get some discussion going. If you're going, where and why? If you're not going, what keeps you here in the United States? The reason I ask that question is because we moved in 2019 to Portugal, and there was some job opportunities that took us there. So we did not leave the United States because of politics, but we know many people in 2016, based upon the election results, had said, hey, if so-and-so wins, we're leaving, or we're going to seriously consider moving out of the country. And virtually no one did. There was a lot of talk about it, but a handful of people did make their way out of the country just because they didn't like what was going on politically here in the United States. So, 2020 rolls around. We're in Portugal. It's the pandemic. And there wasn't a lot of hubbub about, depending on who wins the election, who might move or not. Part of it was practical because it was not as easy to move during the pandemic if you wanted to move overseas from the US. But now it's 2024. And when we were looking to move from Portugal back to the US, many of our friends said, well, you're moving back. It's an election year. Are you worried? What if who gets back into office? Is that going to change your outlook or change your philosophy on, moving to the US versus moving from Portugal to somewhere else? And it really had no decision. Wife, the contract was up with her company. She was able to get a transfer back to the United States. I was able to, within about 6 weeks being back here, get a job back in the U.S., getting a U.S. salary. And for both of it, it was important because as much as money isn't everything, we're still about 7 to 10 years from retirement. And all of our friends that moved to Portugal were retired. We were the only ones working. And they had already had set up their nest egg and had already retired and are collecting Social Security. We were not in that situation. So we wanted to come back strictly to put our heads down, make as much money as we can, quite frankly, until we can hit early retirement and then retire and then figure out where in the world we wanted to live. But we didn't move away from the U.S. for political reasons. We didn't move back to the U.S. for political reasons. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are, because several people have messaged me going, hey, are you done making videos? Are you going to do travel, politics? Now that you're back in the States, what are you going to do? And the biggest reason I didn't want to make any videos is we were very busy renovating a property, but also for those of you that were watching any video, it could be a video on blue jays, it could be a video on watching volcanoes. The ads prior to and during were politically driven, so I didn't want to make any content during a very political time here in the US and just a very fractious time. But I am concerned or curious, as well as concerned on your thoughts, because in 2016, most of our friends that we knew were going, hey, if so-and-so gets in, we're thinking about moving. Most of those friends in 2024 have not said anything about moving. And again, none of them moved after 2016. So I don't know if that's just apathy going, all right, well, it is what it is, and we're going to deal with it for 4 more years. I'm just curious what your thoughts are. If you happen to find this video based upon an election result do politics motivate you to move someplace or move away from where you're living? And that could be from the city you live in, the county, the township, the parish, the state. We do know people that moved during COVID based upon, in the US, what states were open or closed. Several people moved out of California into Arizona here. There were a handful of people, former colleagues that I knew, that moved out of New York and into neighboring Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, just based upon what they were dealing with. Now, that had nothing to do with politics, a little bit of politics, but more just social situations and what was going on. But I am curious about that because it's a big thing to make a decision to move overseas. And if you're looking to do it, if political motivations are like at the top of the list, well, in the US, if you look at just the last 15, 20 years, like every 4 years or at least every 8 years, there's been a change. So do you move back after you get the person that you like that's in place, or do you stay abroad because of that, the political decision? And for me, I don't want to leave a place because of a political decision. Now, unless it's civil unrest. Now, if there's a war going on, so politics leads to upheaval, then obviously that would be a reason to want to leave someplace. But the political elections here in the United States, I've been around 53 years. So born in 71, and essentially half of my life, the left side of the aisle has won the presidential race. About half of my life, the right side of the aisle has won the presidential race. And I'm just curious what your opinions are on moving, or based upon President Trump being reelected. Does that motivate you to want to leave, or does that change plans? If you were moving out of the U.S. to begin with, does his election keep you from moving abroad, or does his election hasten that? Meaning you were going to move in 2028, but based upon who's in, I'm now going to get out of here by 2025, or we're leaving in 2026. Just curious to get a discussion going, because that's something that was a number one discussion when we lived abroad, who was in power here in the U.S. and what that meant for people living here as well as people living abroad. What is your take? Please give us some comments below. Love to get a discussion going. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your travels. Hey everybody, it's Joric. I got a lot of great books, lined notebooks that you can buy on Amazon. Please check out the link so that you can see. Maybe there's some great gift ideas or office ideas for friends or family. Please check them out. Hopefully you find something that you like.